Okay, going back to Gerald, we only got about 5 minutes in this little segment and the next hour starts. Let's start getting into more of your economic trends, Gerald. Economic martial law, they're even calling it that now. Months and months after you first started using that about a year ago, they're calling it that in multiple states now.
Yes, and when you have to really look at what's going on over in Europe, Hungary is a real close one to watch. They're in real financial trouble. They can't even meet the IMF, the International Mafia Federation's demands to get more money. So their liberty is gone. Freedom of the speech, they're taking over. This new government is taking over the government. So that's a model to watch, because all throughout Europe, what they're doing, as the economic systems collapse, they're throwing more and more actual martial law on top of the people to keep them in control. When this system finally implodes, and we believe it's going to happen in Europe, the first quarter of 2012, they're going to call bank holidays. There's a videotape that anybody could Google it up. We sent it to you, of Joe Biden talking to Corzine when Corzine was running for re-election of governor, 2009, June. And I said that when Obama got elected, the economy was so bad that they might call him.
All right, we just lost our Skype connection.
Bank holiday.
Your Skype cut out for a moment. Repeat that, Gerald. Gerald, you're back. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, you cut out for a moment. Repeat that. You said that they were talking about declaring a bank holiday.
That's right. This is June 2009. Biden's words are, as soon as we got sworn in, the first thing at the top of our list, we had the transition team there and 30 economists, was whether or not to call a bank holiday. This is no holiday, folks. You can't get your money. You think it's bad trying to get it now? You can't get any of it. And when you do get it, they'll do like they did the last time they called a bank holiday. They'll devalue the currency. So that's what we're warning. They've already said they were going to do it. Now remember, Alex, that happened before there was a European crisis. That happened before the United States was $15 trillion in debt. That happened before the Federal Reserve, when you add it all up, pumped in $26 trillion into the Ponzi scheme to keep it afloat.
Yeah, we have that clip. I know Kurt Nimmo wrote an article about it. If we can remember the headline, we'll dig that up. We also have the head of the CMT coming out, or CME coming out, and talking about Corzine. Stay there. Top Trends forecaster Gerald Celente is our guest for this segment, part of the next. In the next segment, I'm going to play the clip of the head of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, a month after denying Corzine had run off the money, changing his testimony and saying he did know where it went and ordered it. And then we're going to play the clip that Gerald was just mentioning, but we're queuing it up right now to right where, when Biden says it, that they were talking about a bank holiday with their advisor, Corzine. But we're going to come back to that in a moment. Let's hurry through some of the other top 12 trends, then we'll revisit those clips at the end of the interview. Battlefield America, Gerald.
Economic martial law. They've taken our rights away from us with the National Defense Authorization Act. Everyone that's read it knows it, or read the information coming out about it. So my belief is that this system is breaking down, and they're ready now to make sure that we don't get out of line. So Battlefield America, here we are. That's what Lindsay, that cracker from North Carolina, South Carolina, calls America, and that's what they're making it. So the battlefield is lining up so that they could instill martial law. And also, very important, Alex, is that these people are not as stupid as we think they are. They know what's going on, and they're just playing a con game to keep us con as they keep moving forward to rip us off more and more and subject us deeper and deeper into their psychopathic sickness.
By the way, it got no attention Obama signed it Friday, and I did Google searches and couldn't find it. The guys just found it Politico. It was a minor footnote in an article on Politico with no headline associated with it that Obama signed it. So they even signed it and didn't want the public to know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know he signed it either.
Yeah, I've got the signing statement right here.
And it did, and this never made the major news. It was buried on page A31 in the bottom corner of the toilet paper of record, the New York Times, with a bland headline that mentioned nothing about what this law did.
Wow, but they know they're going to end up devaluing the money and stealing it, and I guess they think the military is going to protect them. What's going to happen when the military's checks don't cash?
Well, you know, the military, though, whatever happens in this country, it's happening like they happen in other third world countries. The military and the police become the enforcers for the criminal crime bosses. They'll steal enough to pay them because they'll get every nickel out of us.
Let's continue into your third trend. Let's get into invasion of the Occupy.
Yes, this is really huge. What's happened with the octopi, as we call it, an octopi, a tentacle creature that's reaching out all over the world. Its strength is that it doesn't have a head to cut off, like a Julian Assange. WikiLeaks was putting out valuable information, but when they cut the head off, the information died. This octopi is a symptom of the war that's going on worldwide. As I've said before, when the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. These octopi are in 80 countries, in 1,200 different cities. They're going to continue. And when you cut off one tentacle, another one grows and the old one regenerates. This is the beginning of that movement, Alex, that may change things in another direction. Okay,
let's race through the other 7 or 8 points. Climax time, technocrat takeover, repatriate, secession, obsession, safe havens, Big Brother Internet, direct versus Fox Democracy, Alternative Energy 2012. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Final segment with Gerald Celente.
I mean, literally, one of the early discussions we had in Chicago in preparation for the administration, our transition team out there, we got together, I think it was 30, 35 economists, all left, right, center. And what did we talk about? The first question they wanted to raise with us is whether we might have to call a bank holiday on the day after we were sworn in. Ladies and gentlemen, the president and I weren't back there blaming John Corzine then. You know what we were doing? We were on the phone calling John Corzine. Literally. I literally picked up the phone and called John Corzine and said, John, what do you think we should do?
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
All right, it's our final segment with Gerald Celente, and then I'm going to go to your calls. I have the signing statement buried. I couldn't find it. The guys found it. I mean, no one that I knew talked about the fact that Obama signed this last Friday. I guess going into a Christmas weekend, nobody noticed. Gerald Celente of TrendsResearch.com is with us going over his top 12 trends. And he says he'll come back for a full hour before the year ends or early next week to really break these down. But he mentioned that clip. Yeah, there's Corzine, the former head of MF Global, the former head of Goldman Sachs, the global kingpins. And I don't blame Goldman Sachs for what happened. I called them and asked them how to fix it. Yeah, they really know how to fix things, don't they, Gerald?
Oh, yeah, they're great at it. And remember that clip, Alex. That was great that you played it. Think of what that means. A bank holiday? This is no holiday. You want to hear an Orwellian word, that's one. Do you realize what this country will look like with people not being able to go to work, with the banks closed, with mayhem and bedlam?
All hell will break loose, and then they'll get to use the military. They've got...
You got it. That's why they push this through. So they'll have all the people in place to crush any rebellion or outrage. Could you imagine, who did we call? John, I can't find $1.2 billion Corzine to help us fix this thing. Who could get away with this crap?
Now, let's talk about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Their head, a month and a half ago, criticized you, but since then he's come out, Mr. Duffy, before Congress at the same hearing as Corzine, and said that, hey, what you were told by him is not true. Our people were talking to him, and at the meetings, he knows where the money went.
Everybody I know in the business, and I know guys that had firms, I know guys whose names I can't mention, top guys, laughed when they heard Corzine repeat the alibi that his mouthpieces fed him to the Senate at the last hearing. And here's what I like the best about the whole charade. Did you see the plaque in front of his name? The Honorable John Corzine. The Honorable John Corzine. This is what's going on. It's just a front. Corzine doesn't do any time. The feds aren't busting down his door. I can't get my money. You can't get your money that's our money. But Corzine can't find $1.2 billion, and the cat's honorable. So, no, Alex, the whole thing is collapsing. That tape that you played proves it. A bank holiday. That should be headline news.
And by the way, Ron Paul gets criticized for saying something like that's coming. He's on the banking committee. He knows it's being discussed. You've got to leave in a minute, but you've agreed to come on later in the week to go over the rest of your 12 points. But briefly, I want to play Terrence Duffy 2 weeks ago, proving that Corzine's lying, and Corzine has still not gotten in any trouble. And his former deputy was over the federal agency that allowed this and has disappeared. But the media doesn't care about that because they're bought and paid for. They're whores, bought and paid for by these people. They're not media. Here's the clip.
After receiving this information, CME remained at MF Global while MF Global attempted to identify funds that could be transferred into segregation to reduce or eliminate the discrepancy. A CME auditor also participated in a phone call with senior MF Global employees wherein one employee indicated that Mr. Corzine knew about the loans that had made for the customer segregated accounts. CME Group has provided this information names of these individuals to the Department of Justice and the CFTC who are investigating these matters.
All right, so understand something, folks. That's the whole mercantile exchange above this who had their people in there. Now, obviously, if Gerald Salente's pulling out, you know, $15,000 or whatever it was, and they're freaking out. If I'm pulling out $5,000, they're freaking out. Oh, but they don't know where billions went. Yeah, they do. It went to Goldman Sachs. It went to J.P. Morgan. It's on record. So in closing, there it is, Gerald, and he's not gotten in trouble. So if he doesn't get in trouble, it sets the precedent they can do anything.
They have done anything. You haven't seen one head roll on Wall Street with this whole financial crisis. What a joke, the Justice Department. You know, it's just us little people, not them. And the CFTC, you pointed it out. Who's the head of the CFTC? Gary Gensler. Who's Gary Gensler? Gary Gensler was John Corzine's lieutenant when John the Don Corzine was the head of Goldman Sachs. I mean, only an imbecile can't put this together.
Wow. Gerald, we don't have time. You've got to go in about a minute to go through the other 6 or 7 trends. But just in 60 seconds, what's one of the other really important ones that we're going to cover later in the week when you join us?
Oh, climax time. Everybody's going to wake up this year, and there's going to know 2 things that are going on. Number 1, there is no recovery. There never was a recovery, and it's going to get a lot worse. Number 2, they're going to start getting the message that the first great war of the 21st century has begun. So we're going to start seeing all these geopolitical and financial problems that have been building up come to a conclusion.
So strap yourself in. Well, we'll talk to your crew and find out a good day for you to come on. We'll pencil in someday this week, Gerald, to come on and go through the rest of it and take calls.
I'd love to. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. There goes Gerald Celente, my friends. And yes, strap yourselves in.